Hey guys, welcome back from Classic Work. Today we're going to talk about skill saws, or circular saws as most people know them as. And I'm going to show you some advanced techniques that you can use with a circular saw. I was looking on YouTube the other day and I noticed there was not a lot of advanced techniques about a skill saw. And there's a lot more that's involved than what you might think. And these are extremely versatile tools. And I'm going to break it down for you and show you some of the aspects about them and how they work, and things that you can do with them. As some of y'all might know, I'm a cut man for a contractor, and I've done it off and on for the past 3 years. And I'm going to show you some of my tips that I would give anybody who is new to a skill saw or wants to know more about some of the capabilities that they can do. So let's jump right in it, and we're going to talk about a little bit about circular saw selection. Okay, there are two basic circular saw designs out there. The first one that you have is direct drive, meaning that the motor is in direct access to the blade. So everything is just in one. There's no gears or transmission or anything like that. It's just directly hooked to the motor. Now, direct drives are great little saws. They're light, very light, and they're great for cutting things where you're in awkward positions, like if you're trying to go up with the saw or anything. Most of them are very inexpensive, and if you take care of them, they'll last you a long time. The second type out there is known as a worm drive. Now these are heavy duty big saws. They got the power and the oomph to get it done. Now the reason they call them a worm drive is, if you notice, the motor turns this way, and it turns a big old worm gear that's inside of here that's hooked to a kind of like a transmission that goes to the saw. And what this does is, this blade does not turn as fast as the direct drive, but it has probably 3 times, if not more, torque than the direct drive. So it's made to cut heavy stuff, and that motor can just spin all day, and it's not, it's never gonna overheat or anything like that. It takes a lot to mess one of these up. But these are great saws. They're heavy. As I said, the biggest downside to them is they are heavy. They weigh about twice as much as a normal direct drive. And for one-handed use, you got to be a man to push one of these if you're in awkward situations. But the great thing about a worm drive is they can cut things so much better than the direct drive in certain applications. Say if you're cutting like demolition, for instance, like if you're cutting through a lot of nails or cutting through asphalt, tar paper, you can put special blades on to cut rebar, and I mean just tons and tons of stuff. Cut concrete with them, I've done that, and they're great saws. And some of them have some nice features on them. They have these hook-ons right here where you can hook onto a beam. Like if you're working on a roof and you don't want your saw to fall off the roof, you can just hook it there and it'll stay there. And that's the two basic saws that you're going to run into. One thing that you want to take into consideration is, and I didn't know this until recently, that circular saws are right-handed, left-handed tools. This circular saw right here is left-handed, meaning that the blade is on the left-hand side, so that when you use it, you stand to the right of the tool, the blade is away from you. Now on the other saw, it's opposite. The blade is on this side, and this is a right-handed saw. And you run it, so the blade is away from you on that side. But, I didn't know that, and I just always used the tool the way I knew how. And personally, I like left-handed saws because I'm right-handed. I know that don't make a lot of sense, but I can see the blade because I'll be looking directly at it. And you may say that's not very safe, but well, you do what it takes to get the job done. So that's pretty much all you really need to know about skill saws. There are different types out there, such as battery operated ones and so on and so forth. But we're going to get set up and do a few practice cuts. The most typical cut that you'll see on a skill saw is just a square cut. You just take your speed square and bump it up to the edge, make you a line. Take your saw and cut the line. Another common one you'll see, especially for people who are trying to work pretty fast, is just take your speed square and bump it up to one edge and hold your saw to the edge and use your fence on your saw as a guide on the square so you can make a square cut. Okay. Now, say you don't have a square and you want to cut this in square and all you got's a skill saw. So how do you do that? Well, there's a trick to that. What you can do is line the front half of your plate up parallel with the edge of your workpiece here. Now this right here is a little tricky and it'll take some practice, but once you get the hang of it, you can cut square without a square pretty much. Check it out. See how close I am? Pretty good. That's a few tips on how to cut, cross grain squarely. Another one you'll see a lot in construction is cutting a notch. And pretty much what you do is you set your blade depth here with your blade adjustment to whatever thickness that you're going to cut, and then just have your two parallel lines and cut those to the inside. Okay, once you cut those two, you're going to cut a bunch of rip cuts here in the side grain, just a bunch of them. Okay, once you have that, take you a hammer and knock out the pieces. Alright, and there's a quick way to make a notch. Another common notch that you'll see is one on the side. Now on this one we're going to plunge cut it. And it's just simple. You take the front of your plate and pivot it on the front half of the saw and then go straight down on your line. And there you go. Now this cut right here is not as common as some of the others, but you still may run into it. You need to cut a ½ inch deep in this piece right here, and you need to cut the entire piece off, so we're making kind of like a dado. So the process is still pretty simple. I've already set my blade depth to what we're going to say, which is a ½ inch, and go ahead and make the rip cut. Okay, to make the other portion, this cut right here along the bottom, you'll have to flip your board 90 degrees. Alright, and then make your next pass. Alright, and there's your rip cut. I hope that what I showed you today will help you in your future projects. Just remember that all the techniques I showed you was for rough or basic framing. It's not so much fine woodworking such as furniture making, but that's another show. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you have any comments, questions, subscribe to me if you like, And also check out my uncle. Actually, he started his own site. It's up under My Reclaimed Wood Creations, and there's a link that'll be down here below the screen. Lower than that, you gotta look lower. But you find it. Check him out. You'll like it. Once again, from Classic Work, y'all take care. See you next time.